Good evening, everyone. This is Travis Tressler with Play Tennis Gainesville. I'm going to talk about the zones of the court today. So when I'm talking about the different zones of a tennis court, we're going to go over 3 zones. It's going to be defensive, neutral, and attacking. So in the defensive zone, we're going to be playing the ball a little bit safer. We're going to be further back in the court, so we're not going to be going for aggressive targets and really playing attacking tennis. In the neutral zone, we're going to be staying solid, looking to keep that rally going, but we can start to be a little more aggressive and try to open up that court. And finally, we'll talk about the attacking zone. So this will be a zone where we're further in the court and we can really be aggressive and try to finish that point with our shots. So one quick thing I want to go over before I start talking about each individual zone is what I like to call the red, yellow, and green system. So just like a stoplight, there's going to be red, which is going to be our defensive zone, yellow, which will be our neutral zone, and green, which will be our aggressive attacking zone. I'll go into a little more detail about what I mean with each color when we get to that zone, but that's one way I like to think about our different zones. So first off, I want to talk about our defensive zone. So if you look at my clipboard here, the defensive zone is going to be this area behind the baseline here. So this is going to be the red light. What does a red light mean on a stop sign? It means stop, right? So we will be defensive back here, playing it safe. Somebody is pushing us back, most likely, into that defensive zone. So we'll be further away from that net. We got to give ourselves more margin for error. So when we're hitting, we're going to want to give ourselves lots of height over the net. So really playing that ball up high, being safe. We also want to use big targets. There's no reason to go for the line if they're pushing us super far back in that court. So play that ball towards the middle, play safe, and look for an opportunity to move in and be aggressive. Now that we've talked about our defensive zone, I want to talk about the next zone, our neutral zone. So if you look at my clipboard here, the neutral zone is going to be right around the baseline to a little bit inside the baseline here. So if we're thinking of this neutral zone like a stoplight, this is going to be similar to the yellow light. So what does the yellow light mean on a stoplight? When we see that yellow sign, it's usually going to mean caution, right? So we're going to slow down or we're going to continue through that light. So in our neutral zone, we're going to be on that baseline, maybe a little bit behind, maybe a little bit in front, but we want to use caution here. So we're not pushing the ball and being too safe, but we're also not being overly aggressive. So in this zone, if we're in a rally from the baseline with our opponent, we're going to want to stay solid, not try to overhit, but we're also not being too safe like we are in the defensive zone. So you'll start to look for opportunities where you can be aggressive and attack your opponent. But if you're in a rally here, you don't want to force anything. Stay solid, give yourself good height over the net, good margin for error, big targets, and look for that opportunity to step into the court and really take control of that point. The last zone I want to talk about today is going to be our attacking zone. On my clipboard here, if we're in this attacking zone, it's going to be in front of this orange line here in the front part of the court. In terms of a stoplight, this is going to be our green zone, the go. So when we see a green light, that means our foot's going to be on the pedal. We're going through that stoplight. When we're playing tennis, that means be aggressive. This is your opportunity to take control of that point. So if your opponent's leaving a ball up in the service box, that front part of the court, we can really take a full swing and try to be aggressive. When we're here, we also want to continue to move forward into that court. So that first ball will most likely be an approach shot where we can step up and hit it and follow that ball in and really try to take it to your opponent. The key when we're in this green aggressive zone is attack. So keep being aggressive, take it to your opponent, and try to finish that point when we're up in that aggressive zone. In the tennis world, we often hear people describe certain players as smart players. But what does this entail? Part of being a smart player is knowing what kind of shot to hit depending on where you are on the court. So knowing your 3 zones is super important to become a smart player, which will also allow you to become a better player. So if we're in that defensive zone, far back in that court, that red zone, we're going to be playing that ball up high over the net, down the middle to big targets. If we're in that neutral zone, the yellow zone, we're going to want to stay patient and not get over aggressive. So if your opponent's hitting that ball to you, you're hitting it right back, staying patient, waiting for the right ball to attack on. And then lastly, if we're in that aggressive zone, that green zone, that means we can step up and really be aggressive and hit that ball and go after it. But knowing these zones and what to do when you're in them is going to really help you improve your game. Thank you everybody for watching. Look forward to talking to you again soon.